has 8 weeks of training. And the day before he started his job, Sunday, his car broke down and he managed to get it working again. And then I think it was about Tuesday, he had a hiccup with it again, but then it kind of fixed itself, it went away. And then yesterday, his car broke down on the way home. He managed to get it working again and get it home, but then it completely died. It's like, he's called around and stuff, and it's basically, it's dead, like, it's not worth trying to fix. So, that needs to be scrapped, but he got a new car. At the same night, which was yesterday night, which he's gonna be picking up today after work. But it was just so stressful in the moment. Like, oh my goodness, this is not money this is not money we wanted to be spending right now. Now we're stuck in like a car finance for a little while until that's paid off. But it's a nice car. But yeah, it just sucks that it happened during his first week at his new job. Like, he cannot miss a day of this training. And yeah, it sucks. Like, I feel so bad for him. Like, it's already stressful enough starting a new job and then for this to happen. Crazy. But anyway, let's just get into today's video. I have saved some posts, and we'll just get right to reading them now. Let me go and saved. Okay, here we go. So the first one is by Marlene-Marina. It's titled, "Am I the a-hole for refusing to call my income a temporary hobby? When my cousin asked how I bought a car. I make a living through online game markets. It's mostly MMO, economy, digital goods, trading, leveling up, and any other services I'm capable of providing within the games I play. I know it sounds strange to people outside of the field, but this has been my main source of income for several years now. I pay taxes, rent a place, support myself a nice car, save money in case something goes wrong, and my income is gradually growing. It's not just sitting in front of my PC and playing all day. It involves clients, scheduling, bookkeeping, some risks, market monitoring, competition, and plenty of routine work. I graduated from college with a degree in cybersecurity, but I didn't go work in that field full time. I find it interesting, but more as a hobby. I didn't want to sit at a job that didn't suit me for 40 hours a week, just so my job title would sound decent to my relatives. My family is very career focused. My brother works in a law firm. My cousin's in finance and corporate. They don't yell at me or anything like that, but they constantly treat my work like it's just a phase. My mum said it's awkward for her to explain to people what I do, because it doesn't sound stable. Recently, my younger cousin asked how I was able to buy a car. I answered honestly that I make money online through game markets, but I immediately added that it's not easy money. not a guarantee, and it's no reason to neglect school. I said that I managed to turn a niche I understand well into an income, but that doesn't mean everyone should do the same. Later my mom called me and said I should have called it a temporary hobby. According to her, now my cousin can think he can just sit around playing games and not build a proper career. I said I wouldn't lie about my life just to make the adults feel better. I didn't advertise it as easy money. I just refused to pretend that my work wasn't real. My brother later wrote that I romanticize gaming, and that one day I'll regret not having a normal resume. I understand that my job really is strange and may seem unstable, though you can be fired, etc. on an ordinary job too. But that's how I pay bills, taxes, rent, savings, and bought a car. It drives me crazy that my family sees the results of my work, but still calls the work itself toys. Am I the a-hole? No, not at all. Not at all, not at all, not at all, not at all, not at all. I don't think you're the a-hole. It's a job that suits you, you enjoy it, and it gets you money, and you explain to your cousin that it's not easy and that not everyone will realistically make it in that line of work, and that he still needs to focus on school, so it's not like you were glorifying it and saying that he should just laze around all day, you know. It's like years ago, from back when the game first came out to just after Catalyst came out, I played Apex Legends like constantly, and there were so many people that would like buy somebody's services so that they would go onto their account and like get them badges, 4K kill badges or like 21 badges, etc, or like get them to like a certain rank so they could get like rewards or trails, like the bread trails. So it is like a thing. I don't know how legit it is. I don't know if there's any like grey areas with it. I don't know if it's fully legal or if it's just one of those things, you know, because in the comments here somebody is saying, so you're violating game terms of service by playing on other people's accounts, RMDing and harming the economy. How is this any different from those Chinese gold farmers or Elon's Path of Exile mule? Not the a-hole for the interaction with your cousin, but you're definitely an arsehole for choice of hobby/job. So like I said, I really don't know anything about that side of it. I don't know the morality of it. I don't know the laws surrounding it. I don't know like the agreements when you like play the game online and stuff. I don't know anything to do with that, so I can't comment on that, and I won't, because I don't know. But just for the interaction with their cousin, I'm saying not the a-hole. Okay, this next one is by Bariwa099 and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for insulting my dad after he blamed me for a car accident caused by my autistic sister? My sister, 17, and I, 18, were in a taxi that was on the side of an uncrowded, narrow road. I told her to open the door and get out when it's safe to do so while I paid for the taxi. She didn't check for any cars passing and opened the door, which left to a car crashing into the door of the taxi. sister is on the spectrum, not severely, but she lacks certain awareness and empathy. She is also very coddled, which has led to her being entitled and unable to do basic tasks by herself. I didn't think she was idiotic and careless enough to cause something like this, though. I would get it if she was 15, but she's literally almost an adult now. Instead of speaking to the driver and sorting things out, she ran away. Me and the driver exchanged information, and I informed my mom. I suggested that the money for the damages should be taken out of my sister's savings, in which she threw a tantrum over claiming she will not pay any money to that guy. We were going for a day out, and I asked my mom if I should cancel that as a punishment for her, in which my mom denied, and I was forced to buy her ice cream and things that she wanted. When I got home, my dad called me about the situation, and when I told him that I told her to get out of the car when it's safe, he was ballistic. He said that you should never open the door facing the road, and everything was my fault, and that I was so stupid for this. I asked if he was stupid, and I have done it a million times because I check if the road was empty or not. And the only reason that this has happened was my sister's dumbass carelessly opening the door. We argued more, and now I'm required to apologize for calling him stupid. About my sister, nothing happened to her. She was barely scolded and then defended for being different and special by my family, while I was yelled at by my father. Definitely not the a-hole, and I 100% understand the frustration here. I understand that the sister is autistic, and with her diagnosis, she lacks that sort of awareness that a lot of people, or a lot of autistic people do. But at the end of the day, she is 17 years old, and she's like, it seems she's like high functioning autistic, as they call it. So it's not like it's something that can't be learned or kind of drilled into her, if you get what I mean. So it's like she's old enough and she's smart enough to understand that, like, even though she doesn't naturally have that sort of awareness, she knows what's safe and what's not, in a way, because it can be told to her, it can be learned and picked up. She was told to make sure that it was safe before opening the door, but then on top of that, it's her reaction that it like solidifies her being in the wrong. I can understand like freaking out and having a bit of a breakdown over it, because it's a very scary thing to have happen. I mean, she probably just narrowly avoided injury, and also it's a big scare, it's a big shock, and you obviously feel silly and guilty. Or maybe she didn't, I don't know. It says she doesn't have much empathy, but you get what I mean. So she knows, she's, like I said, she's old enough to know better, even if she doesn't inherently harbor those feelings. She knows it's wrong to run away from something like that, and she should have stayed and worked it out with them. But I can understand freaking out, but you need to try and control yourself. And if I did something like that by total mistake, I would be more than happy to pay for the damages. So I went around to a bunch of my friends and asked them what their favorite dino was. I sent it to a bunch of my friends and a few people I work with who I've been friendly to. One of my co-workers responded. They sent several paragraphs, a few quotes being, "Not every autistic person likes dinosaurs. If someone asked me this IRL, I would flip them off. It's the equivalent to literally directly asking someone if they are autistic. Try a different, less stereotypical conversation starter next time." To be honest, I'm not even sure that I was aware they're autistic. I was just asking some people fun questions, and adults don't get asked silly stuff anymore. Am I the a-hole? Some additional context. I am autistic. I am female, while they are a male co-worker. We work in online content. I am a YouTuber / voice actor, and they are one of the devs in a project I am in. I had zero clue if they are autistic, but they know that I am. We had convos about it where I explained my delayed texts, and they said they didn't struggle, so they didn't get why I was. This co-worker sent me a lot of weird texts before randomly, so I thought maybe if I did more silly ones with them, it might encourage more silly convos. Also, my favorite is Parasaurolophus. I'm terrible with long names. I like the honks they make. Parasaurolophus. I did message them back saying they were being a bit rude and I didn't mean it in that way. And they started trauma dumping. Went from them not thinking about dinos because they were too busy savings, that is for emergencies. And it went on for a while. In the end, I told her that her money issues is not the family's problem, and if she can't afford, she just can't go. She called me a jerk and claimed I am not supporting her. I told her this isn't an emergency. It's vacation, and I am not giving her money for a vacation. And then there's an update. Since everyone is asking what we did to try and help her in college and after, from a comment, she went off the deep end with alcohol and partying. We did support her and tried to help her get back on track. We tried to get her to go to therapy or any counselling, but she refused. We paid for multiple tutoring and other help to try and get her back on track, but she wouldn't go to class. She lived at home for a few years after she got kicked out of college and helped her resumes and helped her get a job. She has a habit of being fired from her job after a few months. She left living with us at 25 because we made a rule about not drinking in the home, because she would drink all the time and showed up to work drunk once. We tried to get her to go to AA meetings, but that was a failure. Not the AO. I get that that's her parents, but at the end of the day, she's in her 30s. She's a grown woman, and she needs to start taking proper responsibility of her own life. If she keeps getting fired from jobs and isn't really making an effort in a lot of places, then why should it fall on other people to pick up the slack for her and basically just pay for her to get the luxuries that everybody else is working so hard for, you know? Like, I can understand if this was like an occasion where she fell on hard times and, you know, asked for help, which isn't usual for her, then like the parents could like pay for her, because it would be abnormal for that to happen, and it would just be an act of kindness from parent to child. But it seems like she has asked for help a lot in the past and then kind of doesn't take it in a way, you know? And I feel like she maybe preys on their kindness a little bit, and that's why they've put their foot down and decided that they're not going to help her with finances unless it's actually an emergency, which going on vacation, of course, is not an emergency. That's definitely a luxury, especially like abroad. It's very expensive. I have never even been abroad. So yeah, not the AL. I don't think that anybody is ever entitled to someone else's money, especially in a situation like that. It's not necessary. If it was maybe for a deposit for a new place, because at least it was ending abruptly or something, then I can understand. But no, not for something like that. It would also feel unfair to any other, if there's any other kids there or siblings, if you get what I mean. It would possibly feel unfair to them, because why does Kelly always get a hand up when she's not even like grateful or trying, but we have to like pay our dues, you know? This next one is by new_Tangelo 1719 and is titled, Am I the ale for disclosing my brother's disability to his boyfriend? Now that title is definitely interesting. Based on the title alone, I can already kind of guess a verdict here, but we'll hear them out. where the issue started. His new boyfriend, 28 male, is the sweetest, kindest, most upfront person on the face of the planet. He's also very open and honest about his own hardships that he's faced in his life, and is always talking about how honesty is the most vital part of his healing process. When my brother first started seeing him, I figured that he would have already told him about his disability. And yet 3 months later, when I officially met his new boyfriend, it became blazingly obvious to both my sister and I that he never told his boyfriend. I wanted to talk to his boyfriend right away, but my sister told me not to, that I should let my brother tell his boyfriend in time. That time never seemed to come. Almost a year later, I went to help my brother move into his boyfriend's apartment, and there was no thought or care towards making things accessible for him, and the things his boyfriend was asking him to do were simply things that my sister and I knew weren't possible, all things considered. My brother brushed it all off and delegated those tasks to me or my sister. When my brother and sister left the apartment, I took the opportunity to explain everything to his boyfriend. His boyfriend told me that he was very aware of his disability, but what he knew only scratched the surface. I explained what things my brother might need help with, even though he'd never ask for it, and I figured that it was over. A week ago, my brother called me, cussing me out for going behind his back and sharing those details with his boyfriend. I thought I was helping him, figured it was too much for him to explain on his own, and I'd rather sleep at night knowing that the man in the bed next to my brother knew how to help him wholly. My brother insisted that it wasn't my story to tell, and I get that to an extent, but the story did need to be told, so am I the a-hole? Edit for added context. Yes, there is an aspect of danger and safety that comes into play. If I didn't think it may save his life one day, I wouldn't have told. There is an aspect of his disability that would be almost impossible to hide from a stranger, let alone his partner. So that very visible aspect was the part that his boyfriend knew about. My brother has never been ashamed of his disability. That's why I found it so strange that he had kept so much of it hidden from his boyfriend. In my opinion, the OP is the a-hole here. I understand that they had good intentions, but at the end of the day, this was never his information to share. It is such a breach of privacy and trust, and overstepping so many boundaries, in my opinion. I understand the concern. What should have happened, in my opinion, is email said either as the a-hole, you should not be sharing another person's medical info, but your brother definitely should have, and more so to a partner he's now living with. What was his long-term solution going to be anyway? To outsource help to you and your sister every time? It could have also been a thing of like the brother was trying to gain his independence and like trying to build a bond with someone with an independence so that he wouldn't get babied, you know? So if he builds this bond with someone and he like shows all these capabilities and then he finally discloses that he has this disability, they're not gonna baby him because they know what he's capable of, if that makes sense. So maybe that's something he's had issue with in the past, and that was why he wanted to hold off on, you know, on explaining the extent of his problems. Okay, let's do just one more. This one is by Throw Away Mofo 6 and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for telling a special needs regular that nobody wants to hear about how he treats his dog? I bartend at a very popular local bar that has a lot of regulars. There is a nearby special needs community and many of its residents come into the bar. Most of them are friendly, easy customers, and I genuinely don't mind talking with them. One regular in particular comes in very frequently. He is relatively independent but struggles with social cues. He often tries to hold long conversations with me while I'm working, even when I'm busy, clearly busy serving other customers. I do my best to be polite and make him feel heard, but it can be difficult because he rarely notices when I need to move on. A lot of his conversations revolve around wanting a girlfriend, and some of the things he says can make female staff and customers uncomfortable. I usually try to redirect the conversation or tell him directly when something he's saying is inappropriate. The bigger issue is that he frequently tells me stories about teasing his dog. He has described things like pretending to give the dog food and then pulling it away, or fake charging at the dog to scare it because he thinks it's funny. Whenever he brings this up, I tell him that I don't think it's okay and that it's not funny. The other day, during a very busy shift, he started talking about his dog again. After hearing these stories many times before, I got frustrated and told him nobody wants to hear about that. He looked upset afterwards. A customer who knows he has a disability but didn't know the context of the conversation later told me that I should have been kinder. Am I the a-hole? No. I can understand if it was like a one-off thing, then maybe like pull him aside and kind of be like, listen, that's not nice, it's not funny, and I think it's very inappropriate, please don't like talk about stuff like that. But if it's been said many times that like, I don't think it's funny, I don't think it's okay that you treat your dog like that, these things are inappropriate to say. Like, he's been told that many times. He's an adult, regardless of his disability. He's an adult who is capable enough to, you know, go around by himself and come to this bar and stuff. say residence. Maybe it is, I don't know. Maybe if it's like a kind of like a care home situation where, you know, they have freedom because they're adults, but also they do have people kind of monitoring them a bit. Maybe mention to one of them, if possible, that it seems like he's mistreating this dog, and, you know, he keeps coming in and saying things that he's been told are inappropriate, but he's not seeming to get the gist. Can somebody who's maybe more close with him have a word about it, or something along those lines? I don't know, but I definitely don't think that they're the a-hole for kind of snapping. I mean, it's not like they said anything awful, they just said nobody wants to hear about it and he got upset. It's not like they said something terrible. So no, not the a-hole, in my opinion. But yeah. Okay, I know I said that was going to be the last one, but we only have one more that I've saved, so we may as well read this one as well. It seems like it's by a deleted account. It's titled, "Am I the a-hole for being racist to my in-laws?" Oh god. I'm just gonna yeah, let's just get into it. You can probably already guess what the verdict gonna be. Racist is in quotation marks, by the way. By in-laws, I mean my daughter-in-law's parents. So 2 months ago, my daughter-in-law, female 26, gave birth to my lovely grandson. My family and I are Bulgarian Orthodox. Bulgarian, yes. Excuse me. Before my grandson was born, I told my son and his wife that I'm going to pay for all baptismal expenses and any childcare expenses for the first year, as long as they give the kid an Orthodox name. They both agreed without much consideration. They named him David Antoine. David is the Orthodox name, and Antoine in honor of the uni professor who mentored both my son and his wife, who sadly passed away during the COVID pandemic. The thing is, while my daughter-in-law converted to Orthodoxy, her parents are atheists of African origin, Ivory Coast, who moved to France. They really wanted their grandson to have a traditional Ivorian name. So 2 months ago, when the baby was born and they found out about the name and the deal, they threw a massive fit, directed primarily at my wife and I, name-calling, cursing, accusations of racism. Frankly, I wasn't having any of it. I told them that they were insensitive and insulting to not only my religion, but also that of their daughter, to their daughter's decision, and to the mentor of both their daughter and my son. I told them they are uninvited to the baptism due to their behaviour, unless they apologize to the parents of our grandchild. Both my son and his wife agreed with my decision. The baptism is next week, and while I've been no contact with them, my son tells from the discussion they've had, they're still pretty angry and unwilling to apologize, but they said they will come to the baptism whether I like it or not. My sister tells me I've been acting like an a-hole towards them, and I should let them join next week if they show up. I maintain that they will not be allowed at the after party. Edit. Hello, this post really blew up and it's a bit overwhelming. My son and his wife paid for their own wedding. She converted of her own free will because it is what she believes in. They originally planned to name my grandchild just Antoine. I suggested an Orthodox name so that the child can have a protective saint to call upon if in harsh times. But everyone will use the name Antoine to address him. My son and his wife can afford the expenses even without my help. I don't want my in-laws to be happy with the outcome. I just want a simple sorry and for them to be civil at the party. The top comment is, definitely you're the a-hole for using your money to manipulate the outcome you wanted with your grandchild. In regards to your in-laws, it's unclear if you've given them any other reason to think that you're racist. Frankly, you strike me as an unreliable narrator. I don't know anything about the racist part. That's what the title was, wasn't it? I think they're saying being racist because they're trying to choose the name of, trying to sway the name to be of their culture and not the of their grandparents. Like that person said, I don't know anything that's happened behind the scenes within that family, so I don't know if they have other reason to call them racist. I do think it's a bit, I do agree that they're the a-hole for only paying for the ceremonies and healthcare and stuff if they choose a name that's to their liking, because like they said, it's very manipulative and it's kind of trying to sway it your way or to your family's religious way or whatever. I feel like if it was just you caring about your son and your daughter-in-law and your grandchild, then you would be happy to pay no matter what, right? Like that's what I would be. If I had that kind of money, I would just want to help them out, yeah. But the situation as a whole, I don't think they're necessarily an a-hole. They've just said that because the parents agreed with that name and the other grandparents aren't happy with it, they feel like it's disrespectful to the parents and that they just want an apology